Welcome to the virtual race brief for the Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultramarathon. My name is Drinkwater. I am the event director at G2E Ultras, and today we're going to cover some of the key points that you may need to know for the race itself. The start venue for the G2E is at the Riverside Museum, a state-of-the-art complex. At the rear of the building is where your start line will be waiting for you, beside the Glen Lee and the Riverside Museum. Car parking for the race itself is available either on the Riverside Museum car park pay and display, or alternatively in the centre of Glasgow at one of the many multi-storey long-stay car parks. They are all pay and display. Race registration is available on the Friday prior to the event at 5:30 p.m. till 9 p.m, or alternatively you can collect your bib number and your GB race tracker from the event team at race registration on the Saturday morning of the event from 4:15 a.m. up until 5:30 a.m. If you have pre-ordered one of the G2E Ultra's technical t-shirts for the event, you can pick that up at race registration, along with having a look at the other merchandise that we have available. When you collect your GB race tracker at race registration on the Saturday morning of the event, it is already switched on, so all you have to do is securely fasten it to your pack. There is a Velcro fastener on the rear of the tracker, which allows you to securely fasten the tracker to your shoulder strap or the back. Please note that the tracking is updated at 2-minute intervals if there is GPS signal. In an emergency, there is an SOS button on the tracker, just on the front of the tracker, just where the race tracker logo is. If you gently push that button down for 3 seconds, that will alert Race HQ that there's an emergency. Pressing the SOS button for 3 seconds is no substitute for speaking to Race HQ on the phone. Please ensure that you hand your tracker back to the event team at the finish line of the event. Alternatively, if you decide not to continue during the race, please ensure that you hand your tracker back to the event team at a checkpoint. Each participant has the option of utilising a drop bag for the event. You can hand over a drop bag at race registration on a Saturday morning prior to the race, and that will then be transported to the finish line to await your arrival there. When you've collected your race number at race registration, you'll notice that there is a tear-off strip at the bottom of the bib number. If you detach that, you can then securely fasten it to your drop bag. The tear-off strip can then be securely fastened to your drop bag, so that identifies your unique bib number for the race. The race starts at 6 a.m. sharp, so let's cover the race route for the Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultramarathon. The Riverside Museum is located beside the River Clyde and the River Kelvin. As you start the race, you'll be joined onto trails that run beside the River Kelvin. After approximately 3 miles into the race, you will join onto the Forth Clyde Canal. There are race marshals dotted along this section. You'll then remain on the Forth Clyde Canal until you reach the Falkirk Wheel checkpoint. After passing the Falkirk Wheel checkpoint, you will join onto the Union Canal. And then the final section, approximately 3 miles from the race finish, you will join onto the Water of Leith and you will leave the Union Canal. So just be aware of where that left turn is. In the lead up to the race, we'll be putting up race markers along the route. We'll be putting up laminated arrow signs as well as using red biodegradable tape. The tape will be approximately every 20 to 30 metres, give or take. So let's cover the checkpoint locations for the Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultramarathon. Checkpoint 1 is at 5 miles into the race, and it is at Lamb Hill Stables. It is a water-only checkpoint and no support teams are permitted. Checkpoint 2 is at 10 miles into the race, and it's at Kirkinterloch. Checkpoint 3 is at 16 miles, and it's beside the Forth Clyde Canal. No support teams are permitted. Checkpoint 4 is at 25 miles into the race, and that's at the Falkirk Wheel. Checkpoint 5 is at 29 miles, and that's at Polmont. Checkpoint 6 is at 36 miles, and that's at Linlithgow Basin. Checkpoint 7 is at 49 miles into the race, and that's at Raphoe. You'll then reach the finish line of the Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultramarathon at 56 miles into the race at Sawton Sports Complex, Edinburgh Athletics Track. At the checkpoint locations for the event itself, please respect any support crew restrictions that we might have in place. So we might say that there's limited parking at a certain checkpoint, which means that support crews are not permitted. Should you decide to withdraw from the Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultramarathon, we need you to take off your bib number to signal your retirement and also hand in your GB race tracker to event team either at a checkpoint or at the finish line. The GPX is available to download off the GB Ultra's website for the event. If there are any diversions in the lead up to the race, we will let participants know via email and issue a new GPX for the race. The diversions sometimes are essential works deemed necessary by the local authority or the landowner. It is out of our hands, but we will ensure that a diversion is suitably marked if needed. No paces are permitted for the 50-mile events. This is to ensure that it is equal and fair for all participants who are entered into the event. A pacer is somebody who you have arranged to meet you on the route and run a section with you. That is not permitted. You are also not permitted to have anybody else carry your mandatory kit throughout the event. So the mandatory kit for the race itself, in the lead up to the race, please ensure that you look over the mandatory kit video, which is being done by Laura Yates. The mandatory kit is the minimum standard kit that you must carry for the race itself. If you want to carry anything extra, by all means feel free to do so, but this is a minimum standard kit, the safety kit that we need you to carry at all times. During an ultramarathon, the weather conditions can change quite rapidly, particularly in the mountains during the race itself. So please bear that in mind. That is why the mandatory kit is there, because there may well be a change in conditions. In the lead up to the race, there may well be a poor weather forecast for race day. If this is the case, then we may well add extra mandatory kit to the kit list. During the race, there will be random kit checks and also potentially at the finish line. If you are found not to be carrying the mandatory kit for the race itself, you could be disqualified or there may well be time penalties imposed. During the race itself, it's important that we all play our part to respect the environment that we're in. During an ultramarathon, you'll be eating on the move, so any snacks, any litter that you have during the race, make sure that it's nice and secure in a dedicated pocket on your pack. Please ensure that if you're using that pocket for anything else, maybe your mobile phone, that you don't drop any of the litter out of your pocket when you take your phone out. So maybe just use a dedicated area of your pack. Make sure that when you come into a checkpoint, that you unload all of that litter so it reduces the risk of any litter going on the route. This leads on to the emergency instructions for the event. If there is a minor injury, please let a checkpoint, a marshal or Race HQ know. Only in an emergency where there is a risk to life or limb, please follow these instructions. Number 1, put on any spare clothing and use your foil blanket to keep warm. Number 2, trigger the SOS button on the front of your tracker. On the front of your tracker, just underneath the racetracker logo, there is an SOS button. Hold it down for approximately 3 seconds and that will alert Race HQ. Please note that is no substitute to speaking to Race HQ on the phone. Number 3, if there is a risk to life or limb, please call 999 and ask for an ambulance. Number 4, inform Race HQ by calling the numbers for Race HQ that should be saved on your phone. Number 5, attract the attention of fellow participants or passers-by by using your whistle or shouting. This completes the emergency instructions for the event. If you have any questions in the lead up to the event, please don't hesitate to send us an email at events@gbultras.com. If it is race week, we can't guarantee a reply. This completes the virtual race brief for the Glasgow to Edinburgh Ultramarathon. Thanks so much for watching. See you in Glasgow.